Okay, stay on the fence, Alexis. Be impartial. Look at both sides. Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis Blake and I am a trans woman and I share my life stories and opinions on social media, and today we're doing an opinion video. It feels like I've not done one of these digging into opinion videos in a while, so stick around and see what you think, I guess. I'm going to try and stay on the fence-ish, and then we can have a little conversation in the comments below. Enough about that. Let's dive into the topic. So what are we going to be talking about today? The star of Oppenheimer, Emma Dumont, has recently come out as trans, masculine, non-binary. That's topic number one. Topic number two is that they have cast a male actor to play a trans woman in season 2 of the Squid Game, the famous Netflix South Korean show. We're going to dive into both of those because I have some things I would like to talk about. And I genuinely, with the Squid Game one, I have some for and against. So if you want to stick around and let's have a little chit chat, get comfy, grab a cup of tea or a coffee or a glass of wine, whichever is your preference, and let's go. Squid Game season 2 faces scrutiny over casting choice for trans actor. Park Sung-woo joined the season 2 cast to play a transgender woman seeking gender-affirming surgery. I haven't actually watched Squid Game. I'm not really big into horrors, but I do know what it's about. It's about a lot of contestants coming together to try and win the millions and millions of dollars prize at the end of it. They do get killed throughout the series, so I do have an idea of what it's about. Let's just see what the internet thinks, because you just know. You just, like, how did the executives not know it was going to cause controversy? Am I agreeing with the controversy? No. But we know that, like, if any role that is gay or trans is not played by someone who is in fact gay or trans, the internet has a good chat about it. So let's see what has been said. So Netflix hit Korean language series Squid Game is facing controversy after it was revealed that actor Park Sung-woo will join the season 2 cast of the role Hyun-ju, a transgender woman. Park, 39, is a cisgender male actor known for his roles in various dramas. Park Sung-woo plays the role of transgender woman in Squid Game 2, joining a competition to fund her gender-affirming surgery, which I think is really cool. It's some representation for trans people in a show that I wouldn't expect. So I think like 10 out of 10 Squid Game for the inclusion aspect. Someone did write on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and why not give this role to an actual trans woman? Someone then commented as well, slapped a wig on the villain from The Glory and called it a damn day, LMFAO, 2 seasons and then cancellation, hopefully. I mean, whoa. Okay, stay on the fence, Alexis. Be impartial. Look at both sides. What is this thing with cancellation culture? Like, it infuriates me. Like, everyone is held to such high accountability now. Like, when I say everyone, I mean celebrities, shows, anything in the media, anything in the public eye. He's held to such, like, an unreachable, high standards, which I don't always think are reasonable. Yes, people should be held accountable if they do something wrong or a bad person, then I get that. Just this little side branch here, I will go back to this in a minute. But I do feel like, I'm not going to go loads into different examples, but I've seen like YouTubers, celebrities get cancelled at the drop of a hat by something that happened in their past, one thing they said wrong. And I think if we hold a mirror up back to ourselves, like including me, I'm talking about myself and I right now, like I would never hold anyone to such a high standard when I know that throughout my life, everything I've probably said's not been correct and I've not always maybe acted in the best way. Unless you are the best person in the world who does lots for charity and does everything really positive and never says anything bad, I think it's really hard to hold everyone to such high standards when we aren't willing to do that to ourselves, just being completely honest. And I am talking about myself there. So the whole cancel culture thing for me, I just think it needs to go. I think it's more to do with the drama. People love a good bit of gossip and that's where it comes from. And also, you can only be cancelled if you accept the cancellation. So just one thing as well. And okay, I'm going to go back. I can't drop this, right? This person, sorry, I can't. 2 seasons and then cancellation, hopefully, fingers crossed. Like, it's just so bitter. Like, where is that coming from? What is going on in your life to be so bitter about something when a show that wouldn't stereotypically include someone of a trans identity is doing that? I think that's the frustration there for me. It's almost like them giving you something that you probably want, but then they've not done it right. It's a slap across the face. That's what it kind of feels like. To be clear as well, I'm very much on the fence with this argument as a whole, as a whole. So talking about people who aren't trans playing trans characters. So obviously Eddie Redmayne, The Danish Girl, one of my favourite films, incredible movie. Eddie Redmayne has since said he would not play a trans character now. Obviously he did then, but he wouldn't do it anymore. But to me, the movie was fabulous. It shone a light on our community, like everything with a grain of salt. And I think it's judging each situation independently. And I also think it depends who's right for the role, which someone has discussed online as well. So I found this also on Twitter. I don't even have Twitter, but I managed to find things on Twitter. Someone put, especially when you have many trans actresses in South Korea who could play the role. So I was like, oh, fair enough. If you have a trans woman playing the role, that'd be great. I'll go into that in a second. Sorry, my brain's like going like 3 million miles an hour. Someone put, quick question, who are these many trans actresses? I found 3 in South Korea, which have all made no movies in over 10 years. Genuinely curious. There's a little side branch over here as well. We're here, there and everywhere today. South Korea still doesn't have legal gay rights for marriage. So that's where they are as a country right now. So to have a trans character in a major TV show is a huge step forward. And I think the beauty of that and the amazingness of that and the positiveness of that is just all dimmed. People saying it's wrong and they shouldn't have done it. It's like small victories, you know? I don't think everything's always going to be 100% perfect. So I think to have someone in the show representing trans people, whether it is a man who identifies as a man or a trans woman, is great. I think that's where my opinion lies with this one. It's a lot more nuanced, and I think there is a lot more of a grey area when it comes to this sort of thing. I remember, I always like to refer to my own life and how I feel like about my own journey, because I think that makes me like understand other situations, like I guess if that makes sense. When I was a lot younger, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Ugly Betty. It was the first trans representation I saw on a TV show, and I remember this so crystal clearly, and it was such a long time ago. I still hadn't figured out who I was then. I didn't know who I was. Society still had, I think, very different views to what we have now on trans people. To have that representation, even though it wasn't played by a trans woman back then, was great for me. I think it really helped me and gave me some comfort in knowing that part of me was different in that way. So that's what I'm trying to say there. Having that trans character in a show, if it's seen by some younger trans people, even though it's not played by a trans woman, I think that's great. And also, you have the other argument as well. Finding a trans actor or actress is really hard because, and I'm going to use an example here, this trans character in the show I don't think is fully transitioned yet. So you would have to find in South Korea a trans woman who is very earlier in a transition, who's not had many surgeries, who perhaps leans a little bit more male to play the role, because it's all to do with visual representation as well, isn't it? Our eyes are the first like indicators in our brain. That would be really difficult. And then to find a trans woman who is comfortable enough to act in a big TV show before they have transitioned, again, a really difficult thing. Going back to the example I wanted to talk about, Orange is the New Black, I don't know if you ever saw that show. Laverne Cox, incredible actress, trans woman, I absolutely love her. She's phenomenal, stunning and talented. But in the show, she was playing a trans woman. She'd already transitioned and so on and so on. So that was all aligned, no problem. But then in some of the flashback scenes where she was pre-transition as a man, she was going to do it but felt uncomfortable, and then her twin brother came in and played her before transition, which worked out really well and it was really good, and obviously they looked really similar, like just a male and female version of each other. But again, like I would struggle like putting it into my shoes. If I was an actress, can you imagine, playing a trans woman, to try and go back and dig deep into that old life, it'd be hard. It'd be really hard. It'd probably bring back a lot of triggering things, I think, possibly for me personally. To sum up, one other thing that I wanted to talk about with this particular one, then we'll move on to the other topic today. How do you expect them to find the trans actress who is willing to out herself to get the role, who hasn't done any gender-affirming surgery, who can act the role, and who is willing to withstand transphobic comments from people from South Korea and all over the world? Gender reaffirming care is legal in South Korea for people at the age 20 and over, and a study conducted in 2019 found that public opinion about transgender people was more positive than negative, so that's really good. But LGBTQ+ rights in general remain contentious, and same-sex relationships are still not legally recognised. My final thoughts, I'll say it again, grey area and it's nuanced. I think to have trans representation is fabulous. I think we should focus more on celebrating that than looking at the negative aspects that seemingly the internet always finds a way to do. You know. Let's move on to the next topic. I'm gonna remain very impartial with this one. I'll try to be. Oppenheimer star Nick Dumont, so just in case you weren't aware, this person used to identify as Emma Dumont. They are still using Emma Dumont as their stage name though, so I feel like I can say it. So Oppenheimer star Nick Dumont comes out as trans, masculine, non-binary. The actor who played Cillian Murphy's sister-in-law in Oppenheimer. Nick has recently had a drastic shift in appearance from more feminine to masculine clothing, and the hair has been chopped off into a very cool pixie cut, and they look fab. Love the hairdo. A representative for the actor who now uses they them pronouns. They're going to use Emma for their work and Nick with their friends and family. A little bit confusing that, you know? I think for me, there is parallels with the non-binary experience and trans experience, and I can really, really appreciate that and understand that. For my transition, when I changed my name, I wanted the old name gone. I don't call it a dead name, it's just my old name. It is part of my life, and that's who I was for a very long time. I'm accepting of that, I acknowledge that, and I respect him and who he was, because he got me to be me today. But I think where I get a little bit cautious around this subject, I would say, is that using both names, I struggle to understand that just for me, because for my journey, it was different. Obviously, I'm not non-binary though, so it would be a different journey. But then we are also conflating the idea of transition from one gender to the other, such as a trans woman like myself. We're conflating that with non-binary, which always isn't the same, and they're almost integrating into one. I'm not here to say if that's right or wrong. I have had strong opinions in the past, and as my opinion completely shifted, no. I can see both sides to the argument, which I think is more level-headed. It's just confusing, because for me, right, when I first read the article, trans, masculine, non-binary, I am someone who is very much in the LGBTQ plus community. I like to think I read and understand a lot, and I try and be as knowledgeable as possible, but when I first read that, it genuinely took me about 15 seconds to work out what that meant in my head, because whether we like it or not, our brains automatically assign boxes to people. It's a really difficult thing to unlearn. I think it's part of our nature, being human beings. We put people in categories. So when I first read that, I'm like, okay, so trans, so they're transgender. That's what I first thought. And then I thought masculine. So I thought, okay, so a woman who's transitioned to a man. And then non-binary. I thought, but then non-binary is not either or. Please don't come for me. I'm just having a conversation here. All of the words together just confuse me a bit. Do I understand what it means now? Yeah, I do get that. So they identify more masculine leaning, non-binary person. But genuine question, and I'm not trying to start like a war in the comments, why does it have to be trans masculine non-binary? Why can't it just be masculine non-binary? Because that to me would be like, okay, someone who's non-binary who leans more masculine. I get that. But why trans masculine non-binary? You know, I mean, that's it's just a question. I'm just asking a question there. I just think when we conflate both trans and non-binary into one mixing pot altogether, I think people who aren't within the community or have less knowledge, let's say, on trans and non-binary, I think it all becomes one. And then I think that's where the confusion is. Because at the moment, general education on trans people and non-binary people isn't, I would say, top-notch, let's say. So I think conflating the two makes it a little bit more confusing. That's all I'm trying to say on that bit. Let's go back to this story. I wanted to just double-check something. So I obviously Googled the word non-binary from the Oxford Language Dictionary. So non-binary, not relating to, composed of, or involving just two things. That's one of the reasons, the meaning, behind it. Then also denoting, having, or relating to a gender identity that does not conform to traditional binary beliefs about gender, which indicate that all individuals are exclusively either male or female. So again, it's another grey area. It's another nuance, because yes, I don't identify with my biological gender, which is male. Very cool saying that, no problem. But I still kind of think that I fall under, like, how do I explain this without like making anyone mad? Traditional binary gender beliefs. So a traditional binary gender belief is more like women are feminine, men are masculine. Do I think that or agree with that? No, I don't. I think you have much more variation within there. But for me personally, I hope or want to lean, being a trans woman, towards the more feminine side, because that was why I transitioned. That's just who I am as a person, naturally more feminine. A lot of trans women and women do like feminine things, and I think that's okay, especially for me, going back to me, 27 years as a male. I didn't experience a lot of feminine things until I got towards my late teens and allowed myself to express it more and more, but not fully like Alexis is today. Don't know why I'm referring to myself in the third person. That's very weird. I've completely gone off track. Back to this, what was I saying? Traditional binary beliefs about gender. I don't agree with that, but I fall under that. So that's where I'm a bit like, again, more nuanced. Non-binary, from as far as I was aware and what I've learned, and I'm still learning every day, it's where you don't fall into the male or female category for gender. I can understand that. But I think when you put trans in there, trans to me is one to the other, transition, transgender. When you conflate them all, that's where the confusion can sometimes be for people. Whether I'm wrong on that, again, it's just my opinion. It's literally just that. It's just my opinion. I'm not trying to make anyone believe or agree with me in a certain way. I think when you're not fully accepted, is kicking off about things like, we're being progressive, we've got a trans character in a show in South Korea where gay marriage is not legalised. That's amazing to me, and I can see the value in that, and I can see the positive effects that will have in time. But then kicking off about that, complaining, saying it's wrong, I just feel like that's one step forward, it's just then taking 2 steps back. And I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to leave it there with all of this stuff, because it is all very, itchy nose. A lot of it can be opinion, and I would love to hear your opinion below. I always say this, if we can just keep it as positive and nice as possible, if we are commenting and having a discussion below, I always do read as many comments as possible, just to have a little conversation about it, especially the Squid Game thing. Obviously, Nick Dumont, that's their identity. Who am I to sit here and say that's wrong? I don't agree with that, because it's who they are. It would be very hypocritical of me to sit here and do that. So below, if you would like to have a conversation, how do you feel about a male actor playing a trans woman, specifically in a South Korean show where the legal rights are different to a lot of other places in the world? Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell. I love it when you guys come back and watch my videos. My content recently has just been lots and lots of different things, and I've been really enjoying that. I like making these kinds of videos, having strong discussions about what we've just spoke about today, but I do like to do other bits and bobs, you know, like it just keeps it spicy for me. We are also selling our house and hopefully moving to a new house in the next few months, so if you would like to see some house videos, I can do that. Let me know below as well, and anything else you would like to see, I'm always interested, so please drop below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. I'm going to cover up here whilst I get up, because I know that things might reveal themselves. Bye.